Hello. Today we're going to learn how to take a photograph in Photoshop and make it a very specific size for printing purposes. And that's important because when you capture an image with a digital camera, you're using the camera format, which determines the physical size of the photograph. But oftentimes we want to print a photo a certain size so we can fit it in a frame, or we want to use it in a design and we want it to be a specific shape and size that's different from the size that the camera created. And so I'm going to demonstrate how to do that in Adobe Photoshop so that when we go and print our final photo, it's going to physically be exactly the size we want it to be. So let's follow along and see how this goes. So I have my photo in Photoshop here, and this is the original camera image. And you can see right now it's like 13 inches by 8.5 inches. Again, I can see that by looking at these rulers, I can see a rough estimate, but I can actually see what the actual print size is going to be by going up to the image menu and choosing image size. And there's a couple of features about this image size that's useful to understand. First of all, you see this is my width and my height of my image. Make sure this says inches. If it says pixels, you want to change that. Change your units to inches. And you can see my resolution should be in pixels per inch. Right now it's 300 pixels per inch, and that's a good print resolution. If your camera is taking like 72 pixels per inch images, it might be big physically, but you want to change that resolution to 300. If this resample box is unchecked, it links all three of these together. So if I change the resolution, it changes the width and the height. So I want to change my resolution to 300, and then I want to make sure this is unchecked if I'm going to change my width and my height, because I want my resolution to remain 300 pixels per inch. Now, right now, if I try to change this to what I want my final size to be, which is a 5:7 image, that's the size frame that I have to fit this photo, and I want this to be 5:7. So I'm going to make this 7 inches wide, and you can see it's not quite tall enough then. And if I change the height to 5 inches, then it's too high. Now you may think, well, I could unlink this, which you can do, but then that's going to make the photo out of proportion. So you don't ever want to do that. Instead, what we want to do is crop the image before we change the size. So I'm going to hit OK. I've got my resolution correct, and my photo is bigger than I need it to be, which is fine. So I'm going to hit OK here. And we'll come back in here after we crop the image. So now I'm going to go over here to my crop tool. And up in the top, I'm going to choose 5:7. There are some options you can choose, and I want my photo to be 5:7. You can enter those numbers in manually here. So if you don't see the size that you want in the default options, you can enter a custom amount in these boxes. And I can switch this so that it's horizontal or vertical by moving the arrows that are in between the dimensions. So now my photo is 7 inches wide by 5 inches high. And this crop tool is flexible, so I can crop this, but because I entered 5:7, it's going to remain proportioned to that. And so I can customize this and crop this photo so that it fits in my frame and so that the rule of thirds is being applied and so forth. So you can use the crop tool to, and if I click and hold on my image, I can move my image inside the crop tool and adjust my crop tool to crop the image in the areas that I want. Just make sure you don't have any white showing behind your image, because we want the frame to be filled when we print this out. So once I have it cropped the way I want, I can hit done down here on the contextual taskbar, or I can go up and hit the checkbox up at the top. Either one of those will finish making the crop. And then we can go up to image size, because even though I put 5:7 in my crop tool, that's just a proportion. I actually need to change the physical size of the photo now. So I'm going to change the width to 7. You can see my height now is 5. Because I cropped it to that correct proportion, it should be correct. You might see your size saying like 5.001. That's 1/1000th of an inch, and no one's going to notice that 1/1000th of an inch difference in your photo size. So don't worry if it's not exactly matched up. Sometimes the crop tool will leave a tiny little fraction of an inch on the edge of your photo. You don't have to worry about that. As long as it's within a hundredth of an inch or so, no one's going to see the difference when we print that out. So this will be close enough. And 7x5 is what I want for my final image to be. I want my resolution to be 300. I hit OK. So now I know my photo is the right size. I can zoom in and out of my photo, but when I print this, it's going to print 5x7. Now I need to choose my move tool at the top of my toolbar so I can deselect my crop. And I'm going to go to File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as a PDF file so that it's ready for to upload to my printing software. So I'm going to change my Save As type from JPEG, which was what this original file was. This was taken on a cell phone camera and it was captured as a JPEG image. So now we're going to go down to Photoshop PDF. And I'm going to save this in my printing folder in my Google Drive. So you can select where you want to save this. And I have a full folder for images that I want to print. So I'm going to put that in my printing folder and I'm going to save that right in there. This is going to bring up some PDF options. As long as this says high quality print at the top, we should be good to go. We're just going to hit Save PDF. Now I'm going to do that one more time, but I'm going to do it with a little bit larger image. I'm going to save a 10-inch by 14-inch for large format printing. So I have my photo here, and you can see the original photo isn't quite big enough. It's actually a little bit bigger than I need, but it's not the right size. It's a little bit over 12 inches. It's a little bit over 16 inches tall. I want to make it 10 inches by 14 inches when I print this out. So I'm going to go up to image size again and just double check the resolution. My resolution is 300, so you can change that if you need to. I don't need to do that. I want 300 pixels per inch for my print resolution. You can see my size is bigger than what I need, which is fine. So if it's not, I would need to increase that so it's bigger than what I need before I crop it. And I hit OK, and I'm going to get my crop tool. And I'm going to choose, for here, I'm going to type in a custom amount because the size I want, 10 inch by 14, isn't here. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to type in 10 inches by 14 inches. And again, I can switch this horizontal or vertical depending on what I need for my particular photo. And then I can crop this. I want to get the arm off the bottom corner down here. So you can see here, there's some arm showing. So I'm going to crop that out. Get that out, and then I'm going to slide the photo over so the eyes are a little bit more in the center, something like that. I think that will work, and then I'm going to hit the Done tool, the Done button on the contextual taskbar, and I'm going to go up to image size, and now this should fit 10 inches by 14, so I'm going to do 10 inches wide. And look at that, 13.997. That's 3/1000ths of an inch difference. That's not anything to worry about. If I want to make sure I can fit it in my frame, I could make this 14 and let this be 2/1000ths of an inch, a little bit bigger width. I could always trim it a little bit if I need to. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to choose my Move tool on the toolbar to finish the cropping and sizing. I'm going to go up to File, Save As. And I'm going to save this as a Photoshop PDF. And I want to put that in my printing folder. And I'm going to call this Jack Large Format. And hit Save. Make sure it says high quality PDF before you save it as a PDF. And now we're good to go. So now I have my 5x7, I have my 10 inch by 14 inch print, and these files are print ready, and they're going to print the correct size when I print them out. So I hope that helps, and now you can work on your own images.